First off, you have nothing to hide. In every video, for it to hit home, having a personal story helps. So a brand is an emotion. What do you make me feel out of everything that you do? People have a hard time learning from the perfect person. What we'll do is, and I recommend this for everybody, on every platform except YouTube. There he is.
What's happening? How are you?
It's another Evan. I love the books behind you there, man.
Yeah. Every day something new.
There's going to be a new one coming soon with a nice purple cover. For the audience, just quick intro who you are and then how can I help, man?
My name is Evan Tinsman, and well, for the past 10, 11 years as an entrepreneur, I've done different things from insurance, financial, real estate. And the last 2 years, I have been working on the social media, figuring out where to take it, how to take it, develop it into maybe a local platform of some coaching, mentoring, consulting, and then see if we can scale it on a bigger level.
I love it. So what do you got? How can I help? Let's do it.
So I've been writing some questions.
There you go. He's got the journal.
I guess to get right to it, a couple of things. I've been taking your advice as far as putting it out there from a local standpoint, coaching. I am getting feedback. I've had probably half a dozen people in the last week or so reach out to me, which is good. A couple of them, I'm just going to meet with them at no cost. But some of the questions I had from a speaking standpoint, particularly in a local community, is how everybody knows me from my current business, whether it's real estate, insurance, or whatever. It's a small town. Everybody knows me, knows my families, all that kind of stuff. Now, the last year and a half, from a social standpoint, I've shifted away from the industries and have gone more entrepreneur to set myself up. So if somebody says, well, hey, aren't you the insurance guy? I can say, well, I also own an insurance agency. Mm-hmm. But I've been asked to speak at some local groups and like Rotaries, things like that. And when I look at the list of the members, I know a lot of these guys, local business owners. They've known me forever. So I guess my question is, first, when I go in, like I'm no stranger to speaking. I'm good with that, and I'm good with the connection. But how would I approach those people from them knowing who or what I did to now all of a sudden me being able to bring them value, particularly maybe in a sales organization, working with their staff, things like that?
So it starts with the topic. So when you're coming in, it's Evan Tinsman. They may recognize the name. Some of them will. But then there's also going to say, like, here's what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
So you want an appealing headline that's going to talk about the new thing that you're interested to talk about. Because most people don't want to come and hear somebody talk about insurance.
Right. And I don't do that.
Right. But already they're going to be a little more interested because if you're talking about how to win as a sales organization, or how to start your own company, or how to get started on social, or whatever your message is going to be, mm-hmm. You have an advantage in that some people recognize your name, but there's also a topic that they care about. It's like, okay, Evan's going to teach me about how to sell more. That's awesome. Or Evan's going to teach me how to start a business. That's cool. So it starts right away with the topic.
Okay. And the two that I thought that I would go to, and I wanted your opinion on this, was to kind of tie it in. One, if they're an older business, my guess is that their ways are probably kind of old or archaic. People, personalities, processes have changed over the last however many years just because direct to consumer with social media, things like that. To work with them from an employee standpoint, because there's probably, my guess would be after 20 years of corporate America and sales, and I was a sales manager and trainer and all that, that I find that sometimes companies have a disconnect, or owners have a disconnect with the employees if they're much younger. That's number one. And then number two, to introduce them to the whole idea of social media, how it's used, how it can be used, not only as a resource for trainings or whatever, but also to generate business. So that's kind of the two things that I thought I would approach. Like, I can help you with your staff, but I can also start to introduce you to how these things that you may not be familiar with, how that can help your business, and somehow put those together as a maybe a consulting service or coaching or something like that.
Really, it's knowing the audience of who you're talking to, right, and customizing a pitch to them. I mean, for me, I've got 3 different pitches that, depending on the audience, like if it's corporate, I'm usually talking leadership.
Right.
So if I'm talking about your one word, right, like the book behind you there, if I'm going into a corporation or speaking at their annual event, it's usually in the context of leadership because it's not entrepreneurship. No corporation wants me to come in and teach their people how to leave their business to go start their own company. Right. So I always thought I'm never going to get hired as a speaker if my message is entrepreneurship, because who's going to hire me to come in and teach them to be entrepreneurs? So the message is leadership there. My message is entrepreneurship and believe if it's an entrepreneurial crowd. And then I've got a lot of content I'll talk about social media and YouTube and how to win. So depending on, like, next week I'm speaking at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego, and it's heavily focused on YouTube thumbnail split tests, like deep dive, because these guys are all already high level marketers.
Right.
It's stuff I wouldn't talk about in most circles because it's just going to go over people's heads.
Right.
But that's what I'm going to talk there. So when you're talking to different people, you understand, like, what is the path that is the best solution for them? What are they going through, and how can I help them? And they may need help with all of it, but what do they think they need help with? Because that's going to be the easiest wedge in. Because you don't want to start trying to teach social media if the owner cares zero about social media and is still using a typewriter, right? So for the clubs you're going to speak at, Rotary and all of that, and YMCA, your old high school, all of that, getting speaking gigs. I would even lead with, you might know me as the insurance guy. Don't worry, I'm not here to talk about insurance. I want to help you learn how to sell better in your organization, because I've been doing this for X number of years, and here's what I found. And then that's your transition into the presentation.
Okay, so I guess a couple things is, number one, I understand there's a time and a place for everything. But as far as tying some of the personal side into it, I get that from the sales side, but I'm thinking more on an individual side too, because I've had some individuals reach out to me, and I realize it's more about listening than talking. But I guess I'm having a little bit of trouble separating that, because I feel like I might be biting off more than I could chew, because I've had individual people reach out to me for some personal problems, and conversation's one thing. I'm not a counselor. Although I did have a professional counselor reach out to me who wanted to talk. So I'm getting all kinds of different things coming at me: individuals, professionals, organizations, salespeople, someone just going through a divorce. And I feel a little overwhelmed, like, on how do I pick a direction, number one, or I guess I don't want to waste a lot of time just talking to people. How do I streamline it? And where do you go from informational to actually soliciting?
So let's break that up. From informational soliciting, if you're great at sales, you can go off and start selling right away, but you have to have something that you believe in that you can sell.
Right.
So if you're not sure on the path, then it's hard to go off and sell something because you don't believe in the thing yet, because you're still trying to figure out what the thing is. If you are now confident in your sales presentation, you can start going off and selling that. Mm-hmm. Right? If you know that I can deliver a great 45-minute presentation on how to sell better, then you just got to target who are the companies that can use me, and then you start calling them up and you start soliciting because you have confidence in the product. If you want more organic to happen, then it's sharing the content on social so that I can see you. The best way to get speaking gigs is to show me you speaking. So at all of these places, you should be filming it.
Right.
And create content that then gets put out, that then people can see Evan the speaker. Right.
So let me ask your honest opinion on this. So I secured myname.com, and I thought about doing that. And then, I could break up different links. I could take one out to my agency website. I could take one to, this is where I'm going with it. I registered or filed for the legal name because I had to have something to separate the two entities. I wanted your opinion on this, because I use the word impact in everything. That's my one word. Mm-hmm. So I created IM3 LLC, which stands for Impact Media, Marketing, and Mentoring. So I thought what I would do is just create a little, even if it was like a rack card kind of thing, with logo on the front and on the back, break it up, media, marketing, mentoring, and give a couple bullet points underneath to kind of help separate it. So if I'm talking to somebody, they can see, oh, it's from a corporate side, it's a personal side, and the mentoring could fall into that coaching aspect. I kind of wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think if you keep it under your name, it's easier, because people connect to personal brand more than a logo. having the logo and a corporate brand allows you to scale beyond yourself more easily. So if your ultimate vision is, I want to have 100 coaches working for me, or 100 experts, or 100 whatever, so they're not only just getting Evan Tinsman.
But if you Google my name, you're going to get 100 things out of my industry. It's all going to come up: insurance, financial, real estate.
That's okay for now. You're going to create more content. I mean, first off, you have nothing to hide, right? Like, it's not that you're not proud of all that stuff.
I'm saying nobody would find me for it.
Well, not yet, because you're not creating enough around it, but you will, right? As soon as you start getting some speaking gigs and you make more content, and then you get hosted on this podcast, and then you're going to start showing up for both.
Okay.
Right? A lot of times people want to bury the bad news, and like something happened in the past that they got publicity for, they don't want it, so they're trying to bury it with new content. But
everybody knows my dirt. You
have nothing to bury. Like, searching your name, nothing's going to come up that you're ashamed of or not proud of. It's just industry specific. But it's also knowing where you came from, because it's like, who is this guy who's now talking to me about sales advice and making an impact? Well, I've been doing this business for X years, and I've had an impact locally through what I'm doing, and now I'm trying to scale it up, right? I want to teach you all the things that I've learned myself in my business. So I wouldn't worry about it. I think it's great. But now we need to add more of the Evan Tinsman, the thought leader, the expert, on top of it, so that I'm going to get a mix of both. You just don't have you've got years of all this other content and like tiny window of the new stuff.
Right. So how would you, I have excluded anything of that industry from anything social for the last year and a half by design, because I knew that I was going to make a shift at some point. So I kind of copied some people. Not that it's not my blood, but I went more entrepreneur, kind of vague, nothing insurance, and all that kind of stuff. So now I can transition, and everything is under my personal name. And I stopped doing personal stuff on my personal Facebook. I mean, I have my personal Facebook. I got a fan page, and I don't even know how much of those are legit. And then my Instagram. So would you suggest just keeping those and shifting towards that? Like, just move it towards that business idea? Or would you create new platforms or new pages for it?
No, I would just have the Evan Tinsman account. I wouldn't worry about Facebook. I'd be looking Instagram and YouTube as the two homes. YouTube long form, Instagram short form. And I know you're posting like, little quotes and some cartoons and then some videos. I wouldn't lead with, I'm an insurance guy, right? I
don't talk about that at all.
But here's the thing, I wouldn't hide it, right? So like, you don't lead with, I'm an insurance guy. It's like, I want to help you make an impact, because here's my story, here's what I went through, and I want to make sure you can live a great life as well. But in every video, for it to hit home, having a personal story helps. And you shared some of your own personal stories on the videos before, which is great. But some of the personal stories might be a business story about insurance. Like if you're talking about sales, you likely will have to bring up a personal example of how you sold some company on how they need to get insurance. Mm-hmm. So you're bringing your expertise in as a teaching tool for other people to learn from, not just because you want to talk about insurance.
Right. Okay.
But your insurance background, and even you're still doing it today, is a part of who you are, and I wouldn't hide it. Like I wouldn't focus on saying, I'm never going to talk about insurance on my content. No, you can, as long as it's a teachable lesson and teaches me impact.
Right.
Like I could talk about the dance school that I own in a way that gives a teachable lesson to people watching, even if they never own a dance school or even care about dancing.
Okay. What would you suggest from a posting standpoint on how to mix it up? Whether it's just some information, whether it's video, like how many times a day, and to mix it up so it doesn't become redundant.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, first off, it might feel redundant for you, but it's likely not redundant for the audience. One, don't assume your audience is going to see everything you post. They're not.
Right.
And two, don't assume that just because they read it once, now they got it and they never need it again. Right? Like you need to be reminded of impact every day. Like you could wake up today and be inspired, but then tomorrow not be. And so like that's your job, is to teach other people how to be reminded. People need that every day, to remember, like, today I need to go off and have an impact. So it's likely not redundant for the audience. That being said, right now what we're doing is 3 posts a day on Instagram. You might not be able to keep up with that. I mean, I have people helping me with it too. Right. And we rotate between, we've got 2 pictures in 1 video every day that go up. I've played around with it. I've gone up to 6. I've gone down to 1 per day. And 3 to 4 seems to be the sweet spot for like when a post starts to fall off, right? So you space them out. I don't know what our timing is, but it's spaced out throughout the day. So that's where we're at right now. It seems like 3 to 4 a day is a sweet spot. But if you can't keep up with that, like don't stress out. A lot of your stuff is fairly simple. Like if you're doing the Twitter picture with the quote, you just come up with, 100 quotes.
I do a lot of that just like on Sunday night. If I just do a bunch up, save my desktop, and then
you schedule them out. Like that's not super complicated. Making videos is a little longer.
I definitely have to put more effort, more planning into that. I got to block some time and figure out the right way to do it with more consistency. I'm just not sure the best way to do that. I don't know if different backgrounds are a little sloppy, if it's inside, outside drive. I mean, I've done a lot over the last couple of years just playing to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Walking and it seems to change. It seems like I was getting a lot more early on, because I think people are like, oh, hey, what is this? Because I don't think a lot of people locally were doing it. Mm-hmm. I think they may have gotten used to me doing it, like on my personal Facebook page, which I know you said don't do that, but a lot of the local businesses stuff, like I'm connected to those guys and those owners and stuff there, and they're a little bit older, so that they are Facebook guys. So I mean, I do have to keep doing that because I know they're not on Instagram, but
it's not stop Facebook. And if you already have a platform there, awesome. But I'm thinking about building Evan into a national brand, and the Facebook page is not going to be the thing that gets you there.
Right. No, I agree with you.
It's got to be beyond Pittsburgh, local area, right?
Right.
So to make the videos, it honestly doesn't matter as much about the background and where you're sitting, or if you're in the car or not. And I mean, what you're doing now looks great, looks super professional. But it doesn't matter as much as the emotional commitment behind the words that you're saying. So it's, where do you feel the most inspired? Because you can have the perfect words, but it's not going to land because it feels too structured and formal. Where maybe you get in the car and you just had this awesome meeting and you have a lesson that you need to get out, and you just take your phone and you record it in the car, and that could be your greatest video.
So what about from a branding standpoint? Is the branding basically the content, or as far as, I mean, maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have colors picked. Still playing, not sure I even like the original thing that I came up with. I do like my slogan. I do like my slogan because I actually do have people wearing my
nice.
My first piece of merch.
That's cool, man.
No, I do like my Unleash Your Greatness. That just, it speaks to me. I think it's a little quirky, and people like, what? So but I look at how your friend Mark is doing it, and it's all name. He's not hung up on anything. It's just name. And I've been watching him a lot during the day, because I think, if he's just kind of starting, like, that's a good one for me to watch. Mm-hmm. And I don't know his deal. I don't know his background. I don't know what his support is or anything like that. But it seems like it's just all from that personal standpoint. And I don't know if I'm overcomplicating it or not.
So a brand is an emotion. What do you make me feel out of everything that you do? And so you should make me feel impact from everything that you put up. From every post, from every video, your color scheme, your slogan. When I land on your website, I should feel like I want to have an impact, right? When I hit your Instagram page, I don't see that quote that you just said, unleash your greatness, or unleash your great life, or whatever you said. It's not there. It could be, but when I'm looking at any of your posts, whether you overtly say it or not, I should feel like I want to go have an impact because I spent 5 seconds with Evan Tinsman.
See, I'm more drawn to that because, like, where I feel I'm at is, my personal side, and I think that there's a lot there. I don't know how that ever monetizes or how I ever go out and can do enough speaking on that. I think that's where my personal or my professional background and experience, they're complete opposites. They're like a dichotomy because it's like one is like so personal and struggle and dark, and that was always on the inside of me. But during that period of time, I was still super successful externally because I could mask the internal. So people know me as having great success in the business and sales world. They never knew the struggles that I went through. So it's almost kind of like, how do you bring that out and still maintain your credibility as this? Because they're so opposite. And that's where I think, like, talking to people, like, I get pulled on which direction. So as far as unleash your greatness, yeah, I can teach anybody how to sell, and I can put all kinds of people have stuff out there. But the unleash part, the unleash your greatness, I want that on a personal side, whether it's in your relationship or your friendship or in your business or just overcoming an obstacle. You don't feel like getting out of bed in the morning or you don't know what to do. Like I do. I just feel that, like, that's where people need it. People are beat down. People are tired. They don't know where to go or what to do. And everybody's trying to sell them that pill that's going to fix everything.
So you mix them together and they seem like opposites, but they're not. Because you can go in and give them all of the advice that can help them, that will help them, that has worked for you for decades, and like, do these things, follow these 5 steps. Awesome, that's the tactics. The problem is they're likely not going to do those 5 steps because of personal blocks, personal beliefs, personal trauma that's happened to them. You could tell them how to go make a sales call, but they're not going to go make a sales call because they're still just afraid of rejection.
Right.
So no matter if you give them the best script and you're going to handhold them all the way, you tell them how to open and close and everything, it doesn't matter. They say, yeah, oh, that's awesome. And then they wake up tomorrow and they're terrified of looking at the phone.
Right.
Because of some trauma that happened. Bringing that in to say, like, every time you're thinking, you have to teach something. So you're still teaching within the context of what you know, which is going to be around sales and entrepreneurship and personal development. Right? You're not necessarily going to go in. If somebody came to you and was struggling with an issue that you've never been through, you could listen and support and have empathy, but you wouldn't know what to tell them to do because you haven't gone through it.
Right.
But you always have to ask, why will they not do it? Like, what's the personal block that's going to prevent people from actually listening to this golden advice that I'm doing? And then that's where you bring in your personal story and say, you may think like this is going to be impossible to do. You may have a giant fear of rejection. I do too. I'm afraid every time I pick up the phone. And then you tell some story about how you're afraid to pick up the phone. And then you walk me through how you overcome it.
Right. Okay.
Now, maybe you're not afraid to pick up the phone. Awesome. But like, you tell a personal story to make you feel human. Because when you're speaking or when you're consulting, you look like the expert, the guru, but you look untouchable.
Right.
Which people have a hard time learning from the perfect person. So you talk about credibility. It actually adds to your credibility to know that you're human too, and you've went through stuff, and that you can relate to me.
Okay. So from an action step, I guess my takeaway with these groups, then I get it scheduled. Go in, introduce, share a little bit. How do I go from just the informative, and like when I go, like I always believe, like ask for what you want. So ultimately, I'll go in, I'll give my talk, I'll talk about staff, sales, how social is changing the world, whatever, and I can get that to be interactive. How do I bring that down at the end of, hey, by the way, if you want more for your business, X. How do you transition that, like, just to kind of put that in at the end of a talk?
Yeah.
And I have some ideas on pricing,
but
I'll feel that out.
So a couple of things. One, try to make it as interactive as possible, an experience, so that it's not you just talking and giving the same speech everywhere. Right. It's that you help me do it. So if you're talking about how to do a sales call, you role play with people in the audience, as opposed to just saying, here's the 5 things you need to do. You role play. It's like, okay, what are you selling? I'll help you sell anything. You sell tables? Awesome. What's your pitch? And you have somebody in the audience stand up and give you their pitch, and then you break it down. Right. And then obviously build them up so they leave at the end feeling amazing because now they know how to sell. That's way more effective than just giving me the 5 steps to selling, right? So it's just like a consultative sales process. This is a consultative seminar process, right? So the whole thing, like you want to make it, because this is where you would shine, because you have a deep well of expertise. A lot of people, when they get up and they speak, they can only talk about what like is in their presentation, and they're afraid of Q&A because it might expose them for not knowing what they're talking about.
Right. No.
You know what you're talking about. You'll thrive in Q&A.
I'm fine with that.
But that's actually like a giant strength that you should lean in on. So if you're going to speak for an hour, if you got an hour time slot, it should be 10 to 15 minutes of just context setting so that people know who you are and what to ask. And then 45 to 50 minutes of Q&A, which becomes not just answering that one person's question, but you open it up so that helping that one person ends up helping everybody in the audience.
Okay.
So concept sales process.
So I guess I'm looking at the time. Filming it, just get someone, I mean, how good is that going to actually be? I mean, like, I don't have gear and stuff yet. And I know you'll say, oh, you don't need it. But as far as a decent kind of quality, how would you suggest doing it if you're in a room in front of people?
I would have a phone set up on the table, and I would mic yourself. Like the audio is more important than the video. Clean audio. Like I would mic myself. I'd get a mic. I forget what we use, but I could send it to you after. It's not expensive. Just a little clip mic.
I have a wired one, but I mean, it's you know, I move a lot when I talk. I walk. Anyways.
Yeah, we have a. If I'm speaking, it'll be wireless into. Sorry, not wireless into the phone. It'll be wired into like my pocket, into a different device.
Right.
But then you sync the audio on. Yeah, because if you have a phone at the back of a room, it's going to be the audio will suck.
Right. I thought about seeing if somebody would freelance. I was actually going to pay it because I pay them to do it. I thought maybe the first couple do it, find a way to get it edited, and actually get some decent content to start using as a foundation.
Or swap for coaching.
Right.
Like I'll help you if you come and you film me. Right.
Okay.
But also, so too, in your presentations, I would say tell stories about your clients. So while you're coaching and helping somebody, you're also saying, here's what I found. I was working with my client the other day who told me this, and I helped them with this. So in your value given, it shows that, oh, you do this as a business, right? So you get hired, right? And then at the end, you can always have, there's usually 2 audiences. One is either you're selling to the audience themselves, or you're selling to they're not the decision maker, their boss is the decision maker. Right. So if it's direct to the audience, then the easiest way is typically having some kind of free bonus at the end. Like if you guys like this, I've got a free PDF or 3-part video series where I talk about how to handle sales objections. If you want it, there's a link right there. Go check it out. Happy to give it to you absolutely for free. And then you give them, that's part of a sales funnel. But then you give them what they asked for. And then if you have some coaching or whatever on top of it.
So then take all that same sales and speaking and all that, and still same YouTube page where I have the personal stuff. So it's just all mixed in together? Yeah. Okay. Because
it's the Evan brand.
Okay.
Because you're always going to do things that are on brand.
Okay.
So I'm coming to learn about how to have an impact, and you're going to teach me how to have an impact through sales, through personal development, through 3 or 4 buckets.
Right. Okay.
And that's what I'm coming for. And the last that I have for you too was we reuse content all the time on Instagram.
I actually just noticed that about you because I was looking at your account there and on Twitter. So yeah, I've seen some repeats. So this week because I haven't had a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I went back and did the same thing.
So what we'll do is, and I recommend this for everybody, and every platform except YouTube, we take our best. So we actually only plan for 5 days a week. Monday to Friday is new content every day. Saturday and Sunday, we're still posting 3 times a day, but we pull from our best content that's at least a month old. So we look at what's been 1 month plus that performed really well. So we look at past year. We sort on Instagram by year engagement, what's done the best in the past year. And if it's over a month old, we post it again on Saturday and or Sunday. We would do both, but I highly recommend it. And then it pops again, like it's still the best one.
Okay.
So it saves some of the content creation. I wouldn't do it on YouTube because YouTube people don't consume content sequentially, right? YouTube's an algorithm, so you get recommended content all the time, and duplicate content's frowned upon on YouTube. But Instagram and the other platforms, like if you have a great quote that you posted 2 months ago, nobody remembers what that great quote was.
My it's funny is I have like little to I got like 50 subs on my YouTube, but it's funny because my watch time, it shows you the last 28 days.
Yeah.
I know it's nothing in comparison, but I'm like, for having 40 videos, like it's like 5,000 minutes in 28 days. I'm like, I don't know how, but it's all non-subscriber.
Yeah, that's good. It's impact. Those are like, that's impact. Brand new people who are not subscribed to you, who've never heard of you, are now watching your videos and getting inspired. And you're barely doing it. Like you're one a week. What are you posting?
Yeah, I'm trying to at least get. I want to do 2 because I think I know what you're going to say, but it's business, kids. It is hard, and it's very hard for me to get my mind off of that to stay focused on what I need to do that actually pays the bills right now. So I do have that torn because I'm not really that passionate about what I do anymore. But I'm trying to do it a minimum 1 a week, and then I take it and try to share it to the platforms too to kind of drive, But yeah, I promised myself that starting March I'm going to do at least 2 a week of a decent quality, and I thought I would do them on Sundays when I do have the time, and then maybe like Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, something like that.
And so if you're speaking, that becomes a video. Like you film it, it becomes a video. I think too that you would crush in the coaching videos. Like I would DM people who are following you on Instagram and say, hey, if you need help with whatever you're going through, you want to have a bigger impact in your life, I've got 25 minutes, happy to do a call with you that you record.
So I'm glad you just said that. So what about the local stuff, people reaching out? Do it like this, do it like FaceTime, do a Facebook. I mean, I can't be driving all over the place doing one-on-ones.
Yeah, Instagram, do this, like Instagram Live.
Okay.
So your audience, like one, I think knowing you, I think you'll crush it.
Well, if I'm doing this with you, how would I charge somebody when I get to that point?
When it's public, it's free.
Right.
When it's private, it's paid.
So that would be one-on-one.
Yeah, one-on-one, but it could still be remote. You don't have to necessarily go to them. You could do it through a Zoom call.
Right.
So what will happen is because you're so great at coaching and in the one-on-one settings, I want people to see you doing one-on-one, where all your content right now is Evan talking into the camera, right, in your office or whatever, in the car. And now we're going to see some speaking content. But I still don't know how good of a coach you are, which is actually the thing that you're best at.
Right.
You're better at coaching than you are just talking to the camera, sending a message. And that's great. So let me see what you're actually great at. So if you had a regular series where people were asking you questions, all you have to do is show up. There's no preparation. Like to make a video, you're thinking about the topic and the setting and all that. To coach, you're just showing up and counting on all of your experience and natural talent.
I do so much better when I don't have time to think and just off the cuff. Like I don't notes, bullet points. I just talk. And I definitely do better that way.
And when you see, though, that what you're saying is actually like sending off light bulbs in people's heads because they're right in front of you, even this, like right in front of you, right? Air quotes. You'll just be more engaged. And that's your job, is to get them to have the aha moments, because people watching will feel the same way. Like if they get an aha moment on camera, then everybody in the audience has an aha moment as well. And then you download that video. If you have any kind of editing capabilities, you just, Instagram is like this and YouTube is like this. So like right now I'm on top and you're on the bottom, just like switch it so that we're on opposite sides is what we'll typically do. But if you don't have editing capability, whatever, just post it as is, because it's still the content quality of the ideas more than how it's laid out. So as people get to see you coaching, they say, oh, Evan's a coach too. Maybe he can help me. And some people will say, can I be next? Like every time I go live on Instagram, people's like, hey, pick me. Can I come in live? And that's great. That's free and public. But if people will then also DM you and say, hey, I love what you did with that person. I need help, but I don't want it to be on Instagram and YouTube. Can I hire you? It's like, yep, I do coaching too.
Okay.
So whatever you want to make money in the process of doing, show me you doing it. So you want to make money as a coach, then show me you coaching.
The more I've been thinking heavily about it this past week, I truly think that is something that I could get going quickly.
Yeah.
And I've actually done math in my head, and I'm like, well, if I get X amount at this much per month, and I can replace this, sell this, and go do that. Like it's actually not that big of a number. Like the more I think, I'm a numbers guy, so I reverse engineer the numbers, and I'm like, yeah, I can actually do that, and I don't need that many. Like for the number I want, I need 30 businesses in Western Pennsylvania to pay me what I want to replace, and I can do that. I mean, all I gotta do is get in front of somebody. I'll close them.
Yeah, and Western Pennsylvania is still like just the small base that you're currently working from. But again, when you're doing it like this, you're in Pennsylvania, I'm in Canada, right? You can have a much broader base, and maybe some of the people who you coach for free on Instagram live once, then come back and say, hey, can we make, like, how do I spend more time with you? How do I make this, like, you left me feeling so great. How do I get more of that? Can I hire you? Right? And say, yeah, I've got a weekly package or a monthly package.
So I should do some quick content on just like putting out there of what I'm doing.
No, you DM people and you say, I'm starting a new show. And if you can make it a daily show at like noon to, it doesn't have to take long, 20 minutes, but or 3 times a week or whatever it is. Do you want to be a guest? You come on and ask me whatever you feel I can help with. And you personally DM people who are following you. Say that they already know who you are. They're following you. They like your stuff. Takes the people who are actually engaging and leaving thumbs up or hearts and leaving a comment and say, hey, I want to recognize you. If you need help with anything, I'm starting a new show. I'd love to have you come on and ask me questions. Right?
Okay.
Eventually, it'll just take over. Like when I started doing my first IG Live show, I booked the first 5 guests myself. And then I didn't need to book any guests anymore. Anytime I go live, people say, hey, can I join? Right?
Okay.
So eventually it'll take on its own life where you just have to show up and people will come and say, hey, Evan, how can I do X, Y, Z? And then you go help them. But at the beginning, people aren't used to you going live. People don't know you do coaching. So you need to book your first 5 to 10 guests yourself.
Okay.
But just DM people who are following you. And I think that'll be fantastic content for the channel and also super fun for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Cool, man.
It's a lot of good info. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Everything
no
you've
problem.
done for me, I'm grateful.
I love it. I know we went over, but it's I know you're gonna take it. I know you're gonna take it and run. I know you give Evan like one idea and he's doing it. So
well, the problem is it goes too far and then you get nothing done. So that's my biggest problem is like putting the brakes on and like finish one thing before you move to the next. So
and this is why all the content you want it to be part of a cohesive strategy, right? So like when you're speaking on stage, it also becomes YouTube content. When you're coaching somebody, it's also Instagram and YouTube content. So you're using one thing in 4 different ways instead of these things being on different silos.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool, man.
All
Thanks
right.
for love. Good luck.
Have a great day.
You too.
See ya. Bye.
Cheers.
If you have a podcast or interview show and want me to be a guest on it, I have 2 options for you. There's a link right there next to me. Go click it, and I look forward to being a guest on your show.